Welcome everybody. It is now 7 o'clock. Councillor Rostrom. And a special welcome to everybody, but a special welcome to Pat. It is so lovely to see you looking well as here, so it's great. Thank you for joining us today. And then the other thing to mention before we start is that our wonderful Clerk Jen will be leaving us very soon. The collection has been started, and you are making the collection, aren't you?
Well, I've got the money.
You've
yes.
got the money.
I think Harry's got some as well.
You've got some as well. There's a card going around, so please try and sign up before. I think it's just going to be a small presentation on Wednesday, isn't it? So, you know, if you've not got made any contribution yet, but at the end of this meeting will be a good time to do that. So, thank you. Okay, so on with the meeting. And the first item on the agenda is the public question time. Pat, I wonder if you count as a member of the public today?
Well, I'm not a member of this committee
That's what I was
until
thinking,
a full
so
council
We
approves
can
me.
say we've got one member of the committee. And I was pleased to see
Given that we're all entitled to be on this committee, a full council
Exactly.
approving me is a bit of a box ticking operation.
Exactly. Anyway, there's nobody else here as a member of the public, and then everybody is welcome to make a recording. Is there anybody that wants to make an additional recording today? No? Okay, so the next item on the agenda is to accept apologies for absence.
As you saw, we had apologies from Councillor Osborne and Councillor Kirkby. I made the mistake of saying that Councillor Colling has a dispensation, but as she said, she's not a member of this committee. So it's just Councillor Osborne and Councillor Kirkby who've submitted apologies.
Okay. So we've received those. Do we approve those? Oh, we approve all the reasons?
You should do, yeah.
We should have all approved.
Thank you very much.
Okay. And then any receipts of written declaration of pecuniary or other interests?
I don't think so. No, I don't think Jen's not forwarded any to me.
Okay. Is there any items on the agenda or written dispensation that we should mention? Okay.
Grants on 262731 A2. It's application for Netherland Primary School for some parking buddy signs. I've already personally funded some to get them going with that one there. So
Okay.
I'm not quite sure whether I should declare that. I'll declare anyway, and if there's any discussion, I'll step out. It's just for the safe side of that one.
Okay, that's useful to know. Thank you. And Councillor Becker?
262731 C1 Friends of Cliff Rack rolling grant. So
Okay,
that's
thank you.
secretary.
Councillor Stewart?
And I'm the same, Friends of Clifford, and also, I think there's something on the text somewhere, I couldn't find it later. Just in
Okay.
case.
Well, just in case, thank you. Councillor Whitelaw?
First one, check if it's there.
Thank you. Councillor Wilson?
Civic, the dispensation.
Okay.
With the grants, do we need to declare individual grants? We're not going through them. are we?
We're not.
No,
So it's the ones
I
that
mean, they are on the
Yeah.
agenda. They are mentioned on the
Yeah,
agenda.
on the
So
agenda.
The next meeting.
we're not voting on anything. But,
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Friends of Cliff Rack is what we want grant.
okay.
Thank you.
Civic.
Civic, thank you.
Sorry, mine wasn't up.
Pardon?
Mine wasn't up,
Oh,
sorry.
really? Okay, thank you anyway. That's everybody then. All the declarations, appropriate declarations and dispensations, thank you. 27, to consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in private. Any items that should be discussed in private? No? To confirm the minutes of the previous committee meeting. And I think you've got one. Well, do we confirm them first of all? Everybody's read them, assuming everybody's happy with them, in which case can we vote to approve them?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And then you've got a point to raise.
Yeah, so after some time of having this sort of sitting around waiting for me to action it, I've arranged to pay HMRC money for the garages that we owe on the VAT for the last 4 years. So that, as it says, that will be deducted by HMRC from the VAT we would normally be repaid, so it comes out of that process, it's not a separate transaction.
So we're all happy with that. And the next item is remembering to prioritise climate action in ways in which the Parish Council always thinks through climate action on any item on the agenda. I think when that's particularly pertinent when we're thinking about the grants. Next item, Home Valley Parish Council Annual Governance and Accountability Return, the AGA. That's still awaiting progression, but that's apparently quite normal at this stage.
Yeah.
Everybody's happy with that? And then we move on to item 31, which is grants. Grant applications are all being considered on the 28th of September, and Richard sent us a list of all the ones that have been considered as community assets and those which have projects and events due to be considered. But I think, because can I say thank you to that, because I think that's useful to see what previous grants they've had, and we've got that information ahead of the meeting on the 28th of September. So that's great.
Could I just say,
Yes.
according to my very basic maths, there's probably about 80% of the total budget there.
Okay,
So maybe it's something we need to be thinking about
absolutely.
before
Yeah.
September.
Yeah, I think that's another reason why it's good to
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
information ahead of time, so we're not actually considering it today. Okay. So you'll all be receiving the full information about those lists in due course. Okay. But there are some applications with potential issues, and the first one to discuss is the application for Netherthorne Primary School for parking buddy signs. Oh, well, yeah, I mean, I think what you have to say might be actually be useful.
No,
Yeah. Okay. Well, the information I've got and the reason why you may or may not want to consider this is because that we don't usually, as the rules that have been set up for the awarding of grants is that we don't award directly to schools. But on the other hand, these are things that the planning committee has given out previously, and previously we've actually been trying to get rid of some of these because we couldn't persuade schools to have them. So I think it's great that the planning committee actually did that job of alerting people to the usefulness of these, and I think it's quite reasonable that Netherthorne Primary School wants some of these. Am I right though, Councillor Wilson? Didn't they have some already?
Gave them back.
They gave them back.
Cool.
Netherthorne Primary School.
What about Netherthorne? What the fun of it?
Other have definitely got them, yes.
And they're useful.
Yes, I agree.
Netherthorne.
English didn't want any, Brookholes didn't want any.
Yeah,
I
rock
didn't think
all.
Netherthorne wanted them, but
New Mill got some.
You've
yes.
got some, yes.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that.
Netherthorne have changed their head recently.
Once
So
they've
Brookholes
decided
gave them
back. Sorry,
Francis
Councillor.
Yeah,
Brockholes
Brockholes was
gave them
first,
back.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
Okay. So we can decide that we can give these, well, we can,
I think this is about, in principle,
whether we want
does
to,
it,
do we want to have
Do
this
you
on
want
the
it on the
agenda for
agenda,
the
basically?
28th? Or do we want to say, no, this shouldn't be on the agenda? That's the decision we have to make today. Councillor Whitelaw.
I think there's two questions really. One is that there's already, as you've explained, been a precedent set against the general review. So you've got a decision, it seems to me, to make about whether you say, in some circumstances, having had a discussion, we would go against the general principle, or you say, we have a principle here, end of chat.
Councillor Lyle?
It wasn't for that reason though, it was to resolve a different problem. So those school buddies were to resolve a different problem. That's why we gave them in planning. It wasn't a grant thing, it was to resolve the council don't do anything about white lines, we've got speeding issues outside schools. It was a different resolution, it wasn't a grant consideration.
It wasn't a
So-
grant consideration, you're
Yeah.
absolutely right on that, but it was going to, similar reasons why Netherthorne School wanted. Councillor Blacker.
I think we've created a bit of a problem for ourselves here, and my feeling would be to be quite hard line really and say that our regulations state that we don't give grants to bodies that are funded from elsewhere. And I think those grants, as George has said, they're an anomaly really, and they weren't part of the general grant giving process. So my feeling is that we don't give them
as a grant.
because they
There
are
are
outside our
alternatives
rules.
to giving it as a grant to think about. I think that's one suggestion, that we can't give it as a grant. Is there another way in which we would want to support this?
I think it was Tom.
Sorry, Tom.
Yes, I agree with Mary, and I know that other schools have, they've been refused before on the same grounds that we don't give money towards schools for things like that. And also, I know that other schools have not put in for grants for that reason. So we set a precedent there. But I do think that we can maybe refer this back to general purposes, or if that's kind of something like a road safety thing that they may consider through that instead, like we did before. If that's something we would choose to do again for a couple of schools, like Neverfarm and maybe another one, if anyone is interested.
And then awarded as a gift in the way that we did in planning?
Yeah, potentially.
Well-
It's something to defer to that committee for them to maybe have a discussion about and decide on. But I'm not saying we're not going to do it, but I just think they should do it and it shouldn't go through the grants because I don't think it's the right place for it.
Okay. Who was next? Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, similar, I mean, can it go back to planning, as we've done before?
Okay. Or planning?
Or planning / GP.
It's a highways issue. really.
It's a
not a
highways
school
issue.
It's a highways issue.
Okay. Councillor Greaves? Oh, sorry.
Two
Chris?
things. I don't see why they're having to apply for a grant today if we've given them to other schools in the past. Secondly, I do agree with sticking to the principle, especially bearing in mind if Andy's maths correct. We need to find a reason to try and slim down these grants, so sticking to our rules would be an easy way of doing it.
So can we have somebody to propose a motion to stick to the rules and not accept this as a grant application? Does anybody want to
Refer it back to planning.
and head it back to?
No, sorry.
No, that's the first motion.
That's two separate
It's
things.
two separate motions.
So-
The first motion is to not.
So am I allowed to do the motion, or are you just
Yeah,
going
no,
to tell
you
me
can
what
do
the motion is going to be? Is that
You can do it.
right? So my proposal is we stick to the grant rules, but we look at alternative ways of funding the speeding stroke parking issues outside the schools with alternative funding, not grant funding. Schools should be able to come to highways issues to the council that we would either rush up towards councils or manage locally.
Any amendments to that or
I
changes?
think it's two separate issues. I think the first one is we stick to our criteria, end of.
Okay,
That's the first one,
first motion, okay.
which I will second if you're.
That's first one, yeah.
Okay, so can we have a vote on just sticking to the rules and? Okay?
Yep.
Everybody's agreeing to that then?
No,
And
I
then
think,
there's-
no.
Sorry,
No.
sorry, who's against?
Oh,
abstain.
You're
abstained.
abstained.
never thought.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but we're not saying no, we're just saying not that pot of money.
No.
Okay, right, okay, well, I shouldn't question your reasons for abstaining, should I? So, the second motion,
Well, and then, of course, a proposal, haven't you?
Yeah, propose that we either send it back to another committee, whether that's planning or where
Or full
it is.
council.
I think we need to decide which one.
I mean, planning's done
General
it before,
purposes.
but they have no budget.
Planning's got 500 quid, hasn't it, in the budget line, isn't it? I mean, it could just refer it back to full council.
Just full council.
I think that's the
Yeah.
easiest.
Yes.
okay, happy to go with that?
Full council.
Full council,
Full
go back to
council.
full council, happy with that? Can we take a vote on that, please? Okay? Right, next one is the application from Heathcliff Middle School, and that is for EpiPens. I think this is an easier decision to make, because EpiPens, if they're for individuals, they have to be provided by the parent or guardian, or the school has to have them in their emergency pack out of their school funds. So I think this is a clear case of us saying this is against the rules of our grant giving procedure because it should be on school. Councillor
I
Lights.
believe there is a government initiative to put EpiPens and antihistamines already in schools by the end of the year anyway, so I don't think it's really something we should have
They should already be there. Councillor
I
Wilson.
thought these were prescribed in.
They are prescribed for individuals
Yeah.
who have them, and they are provided free to individuals. And the parent or guardian has to make sure they are at the school. But schools have to have an emergency kit as well. But that has to, in theory, come out of school funds, and school funds should be allocated to that. It certainly isn't our responsibility to provide
I
it.
probably thought schools would be a bit reluctant to administer these things.
No, they're given guidance and training on how to do it. It's
It's mad
necessary.
panic though, when
Absolutely.
you need to find the emergency one.
But no, they're well trained. All teachers and staff are trained in the use of them, so I don't think we need to worry about that. The next one is sorry, we need to vote on this. We need to vote on this. Sorry. We need to vote whether to send this forward to the meeting on the 28th or to reject it at this stage. Okay?
Propose that we reject it based on we don't give grants to schools, and that's just our criteria. So anything else isn't really, it is relevant, but not that relevant to us.
Interesting but not relevant.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay? Can we vote on that? Okay. Any abstentions? Anybody against? Okay. So the next item, after 7 o'clock, do you want to talk about this? You know a little bit about
Yeah,
this.
I mean, it looks like a very good idea, but there would, as you can see, there's not a lot to it in terms of things that we normally expect, like constitution, statement about what type of group they are, bank account. I've emailed them a few times to try and get that information, but I'm not getting it. I'm inclined to just keep pestering them, to be honest, and hope that something will come.
Councillor Whitelaw?
That, in those communications, have you suggested to them where they might get support or help?
I have.
Yeah, thank you.
I didn't want to just forward to you without their permission.
No,
But I did say about
because, I mean, there are at least two, to my knowledge.
yeah.
So if I was at this one, certainly,
But like I say, they've not responded. They've
No,
not
that's
responded to
fine.
anything so
Well, if
far.
they
So
do
I'll just keep pestering them and see what happens.
So let's hope they come up with a more fuller, rounded application before the meeting on the 28th. In which case, are we happy to keep that on the agenda for the 28th in the hope that we'll have more information?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, I suppose so.
Possible? Yes. Okay.
Sorry, what we're voting?
We're voting on to keep that on the agenda for the meeting on the 28th of September in hope that they'll come back with more information.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you happy to vote on that? Anybody vote against it? Any abstentions? No? Okay, the next one to consider whether we keep it on the agenda or not for the 28th is Home Village Residents Association. They've applied for a retrospective grant for paintwork to the public toilets in the village. These are usually disallowed by the grants policy, but the applicant was advised this before they applied, and I think it's probably something that some people here will feel is a very worthwhile group and to support. Councillor Blackwood.
It may be they are indeed a very worthwhile group, and the toilets are definitely worthwhile, but it's very clear that we don't give retrospective grants, and once we start giving one, I think, we hold ourselves to all sorts of possibilities, so what we have is proposed that we don't accept this.
Thank you. Councillor Whitelaw?
absolutely agree.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Okay.
They are very worthwhile, that's in all of that lot.
Yes.
However,
Yes.
end
So-
of chat.
Can we send it? Sorry.
Just a quick one, how much would it cost, if that interest?
I think it was something like 900 quid, maybe 1,000 quid. It wasn't peanuts, and they've got another application in, but that was for peanuts, like less than 100 quid.
Okay.
Seems a reasonable price though.
Can we write a letter to express our thanks and appreciation for all that they've done and say, in future, please will you put your application in prior to actually delivering it? Yeah. Okay, are we all happy with that? Do we need to vote on that?
Probably do.
Okay. Thank you. Any abstentions? Okay. Okay, and then we go on to the next item, still on grants, the grant evaluations. We've had evaluations from Humford Harriers, Humford Arts Week and Friends of Comley. Isn't that
It's not
Humford
Art
Arts
Week, it's
Festival?
Arts Festival, yes,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's-
mate.
Yeah, that's a mistake on the agenda.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
I'd like to say how brilliant I thought all those were. I thought they were projects that were well supporting. I thought they positively addressed the climate action that we are supposed to be keeping ourselves very aware of. Any comments on any of those evaluations? Yeah, lots of great photos that we've got to remember when we come to thinking about publicity. So there's still some outstanding, but I think
I've
you're
had-
going to be chasing those
Yeah,
out.
I've had one from Home Village Community Centre for the toilets now, and they've told me they're sending one for the floors, because they've got another one in this time around, you see, so they need a second one. I've sent another one to Homebridge Cricket Club, and who was the other one? Hayes Residents Association have emailed Jen asking what they need to do, and Jen's forwarded the email to me, so that hopefully those two will get sorted as well.
This did come up at a meeting that they shouldn't they?
Right.
They are cracking on with it,
Right, great.
thankfully.
Okay, so we have to consider any further action on grant evaluations. I think the further action is that Rich continues to
Yeah.
chase them up. Councillor Whitelaw?
This might seem harsh, however, I think that given one of the conditions of giving grants is that you present in a timely fashion a full and detailed evaluation. If people don't do that, and despite several reminders don't do it, I would really be putting a marker against them when they're putting in applications
That is,
for the future.
that is definitely the case. I think that has happened in the past and I think should continue.
Yeah,
to happen.
absolutely.
Should we
You
mention
know
that
that
when
people
we,
manage to do it,
Yes,
you know, and they follow the rules,
yes.
and it's important.
should we mention that when we're chasing up this time? Something like that. It's
Final
considered
warning.
I do keep a record of when I've
Yeah.
emailed them previously, so.
Okay.
No, but I think, sorry,
Yeah.
just following on from what Tom said, I think it really is
Yeah,
important
yeah.
to tell them that, because I know when I've had conversations about grants for other things, you know, the point has always been made, will you be able to do that once you get that
Yeah.
evaluation?
Yeah.
Making that another application, I think we need to say, no, actually, this is the issue.
It is a clear expectation.
Have you had a response from the cricket club? Maybe struggling to get.
No, they did email me. I know
Yeah,
Councillor
I've
Whitelaw has spoken to
had
them.
communications with them.
I think when they spoke to Councillor Whitelaw, they weren't sure what the evaluation was for. So I emailed them and said it's for the benches. Remember we gifted them a load of
There's
benches.
been several communications about it.
So it's not that they don't know.
No,
Well, yeah, I mean it's fairly,
They've got answers.
it's a fairly obvious thing. So yes, I will keep chasing. And as we've just said, I will. You know, if it needs a black mark, it's a black mark. Yeah.
Okay, next thing still on grants is the rolling grants, and there's a list of the rolling grants that we've made a commitment to. Is this going to do them all together?
If we're having a grant meeting, why are we discussing all these grants in this meeting?
So no.
In fact, I did ask you that today, Linda, because I was surprised that they were all here. I suppose because they've already been approved, so they're not up for consideration.
These are not coming from the grants budget.
This time.
These are an earmark reserve. So these are kind of we're expected to pay these, but it depends on them fulfilling the requirements in terms of supplying bank statements and accounts, which have all gone to the chair.
Well, surely we should just raise the ones then that don't fulfil the need instead of going through it all again. Do you know, like, because we voted for them to be rolling grants, so we agreed we were rolling grants,
Yeah.
just don't understand why we're rehashing rolling grants. I just, do you know
I
what I mean?
suppose we're just checking that they've
You're
submitted
checking
the
they've done what
evidence.
they need to do.
I mean, it is a question I want to ask, whether it is significantly less work, but I think that's something, we've already made that commitment here, so but in
It's
the
obviously less
future,
work for them because they don't have to fill in an application form.
yeah, they do have to still send some information,
Yeah.
don't they? And we're just checking that that information has come through before we can approve them. Councillor Wagner?
Just for my own clarification here, are they making any decisions about any of these rolling grants?
No, we've got
It
to
says to
approve
approve.
it.
Yeah, so that is why we're asking people who are involved in some way in all of those, or any of those, to be part. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's always as well to check.
So my thought process is that if they run a rolling grant and they don't provide you the information, then they should come to our attention. If
Yeah, I
they,
get you. Okay.
instead of
Yeah.
going through the motions again.
Yeah, but the trouble with that is, if something comes up say something comes up in the bank statement or the accounts where they've suddenly got tons of money or
There could be changes.
there've been changes, I don't think it should be down to me to make that decision.
No, but then you could flag it up saying, on reflection, the bank statements show quite a large amount of money, we need to address this, or I think we need to revisit this.
I don't
Otherwise,
think this is a big deal, I think you could have just gone
Okay.
tick and
well, I could have done, but
done.
we put them on there, so I want to know why they're there.
Well, we've
Well,
just
I
said.
think it's very reasonable that it's the council makes the decision rather than it to rest with, the.
But we did make a decision, we rolled it.
We did, but those approvals, we need to approve it rather than Rich making that approval, that payment without our approval. But as he says, it should be a fairly quick procedure. So, given that in mind, can we move on and accept to approve the rolling grant of 1,500 to Humber Festival of Folk? Sorry?
Can we object, are we going to object to any of the individual ones, or can we just
Yeah,
do
I'll just
them all on
do
block?
them
All
in
in
one go.
bulk. Okay, we want to approve all those because we've already said we've all got going to make that commitment. Rich has confirmed.
Are you okay with what you saw in the paperwork?
Yes.
You're the only person who's seen them.
Yes, the only one. Wasn't it in the
Can we
paper?
just move
No,
it?
no.
No, listen to what she's got to say, because she said there was only one.
Well, the next one and the next group, the Friends of Holly Library, is slightly different.
Well, we're not asking
No,
about
that's all I was going to say. That we can approve the ones to Humber Festival of Folk, Humber Film Festival, Friends of Honley, and Friends of Cliff Wreck.
Right.
Can we approve all those?
Right, over. Somebody second.
Yes, okay, thank you. And then the next one, shall we let everybody come back?
Make yourself useful while I'm here.
Don't know where everybody else has gone, but there you go.
No, they're all over there. Yeah, we were hiding.
It's a new way of going.
So the next one that is slightly different is a payment to Friends of Honley Library. They've submitted a running grant agreement for their annual running cost grant of £15,000. This is normally paid in early May, so it's not due yet, but we should consider approving that at this point, so that it gives them security. Anybody want to speak on behalf of this or for this? Councillor Wilson?
I'm just wondering whether it's covered in the second part, but, I mean, in the fullness of time, shouldn't we be looking at something like that for the city?
But it's not,
I know it's not there.
set up, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rather than it coming out of grants every time.
yeah. But that should be in the agreement with.
Council.
The trouble is, as it says, it's in the lease, it's not part of the lease agreement, it's something that we give discretionary, so that's why I've brought it up, because they're worried about getting it.
Yeah, I
essentially.
understand that.
And they're worried about when they get it. Obviously we've got a new council voting in, but normally they're paid before the new council is voting in, you see.
Okay, it's,
Am I allowed to speak?
I think so, yes.
No, you need to abandon some
So,
orders.
we have to abandon standing orders for now.
But they've already started fundraising for the second part of the extension, and there are some grants that depend on showing that you've had other grants, so that's why they want it in advance, because that it opens the door to some quite big grants.
Okay.
And while I'm on my feet, or not, the grand opening is the 1st of September. I don't know the time of day. They're hoping to have a celeb.
That's great, thank you. Can I suggest that we move this and we get on with it, but also that at a further date we perhaps look at putting something into their lease or doing a side let to go with their lease, like we did with the Civic, and then we
Problem
it makes clarity of that and it gives them security. Are we happy with that?
Jenny?
Sorry.
Do you want to create a motion out of that?
Oh,
yes.
yes, Tom's got to say it first, because he's had his
I
own.
was-
Sorry.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, I fully commend what Donna said and I agree with that. And I was just going to add that with the Civic, we've agreed to increase the money we give them every year by inflation. And should we do the same with online library as well? Because we got into a problem with the Civic where before the original thing we were giving them, and because of all the inflationary things, the amount that we were giving them wasn't very much, and we ended up getting into problems and issues. So that's something that we should consider maybe adding into the letter as well.
That's obviously
This is
to do with the budget setting. You can propose, propose an increased amount
into the lease
in-
and sort of side let.
Yeah, that's probably something for later on, but I'm happy to second Donna's suggestion of putting it towards some kind of side letter, and then we maybe look at the contents of it and the sums later on.
Right, so you want a motion?
Yeah.
To move the, whatever it was, what's my page, yeah, to move the rolling grant, but to look at the lease arrangements we have now with Holly Library, and maybe look at perhaps redoing the lease with a side letter to cover this.
An annual payment.
So the annual payment is within this lease or side letter, and also to look at the inflation.
Can we
Side
go
bit.
to full council that?
Yeah,
We'll have to
It's have to
eventually.
do,
Eventually it will be.
it's adapted because it needs a group as well to set up with somebody from on the library to do the lease and stuff.
So for now, at this meeting, we're just going to approve that payment of the rolling grant of £15.
In principle.
In principle.
In principle,
In principle. Okay, so can we take a vote on that?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, right, to consider any further action on rolling grants? No? Okay. And then the Finance and Management Committee, Finance and Management working groups, we've got to consider all of the working groups. So the grants working group has not yet met this year. I'm pretty sure that at our last meeting we said we would have our first meeting after the 28th of September when we've had a grants giving meeting, and we've been made aware of any issues or concerns that still need resolving. So are we happy with that?
Can I ask a question then?
Yes.
Is this the point at which we say what things we would like to be considered, or do we take that later?
I think it should come after the 28th of September when we
So
know
not
what
for
issues.
that meeting?
No, because I think
So not to be considered at that meeting?
Correct.
Well,
See,
no,
I
because
would
it's
think
the
that
working
that's what we
group.
want to do.
It's the working group that will be, Councillor Winston, you're the chair of this working group, aren't you?
Not
So-
really, it was actually Pat, I only sort of stood in what the time was made. The point I was going to make was we haven't considered any grant yet under the latest change.
Exactly.
And this is the last year anyway that this council will be doing grants. We have a new council, don't we?
Yes, absolutely.
So-
However,
So is it a bit presumptuous to be making changes to something for a council that hasn't even been elected yet?
however, one of the things that the grants committee is responsible for is the review of the grants criteria. And given that there are clearly some issues in terms of grants criteria and the application of them, the 28th would be a good point at which to undertake at least some of that review and build on the information that we've had, the experience that we've had, and any amendments that we might suggest for the next. So my proposal would be that at the next grants working group meeting, that there is a review of the grants criteria.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think what is clear here though is that we make sure that that's not going to be on, sorry, you seem to suggest that that would go on the agenda for the 28th of September, but it's the working group that will make the review.
Well, it would, in my view, it would come to the 28th because they would be then sending it on to the working group.
I'm not 100% sure what you're saying. Just let me see if Mary will clarify.
I'm not sure I'm not with that, but over the last few months, I think there have been a number of issues raised about grants. So I hope that somebody's issues that we thought should be referred to the working party, and I hope that somebody's got a record of them there somewhere. I do tend to agree with Councillor Whitemore that it would be good to have a meeting before the next full council meeting, so that whatever we propose can be discussed.
Okay, right. That's sort of. I mean, we did sort of a final review at the end of it, as that was what was going to carry forward to these grants. But if the working group would like to meet before the 28th, that can be a decision made by the acting chair.
So can I just say that today we've had a conversation about whether we are to approve or not approve grants in the next meeting about grants, which clearly states that there is an issue about grants.
Yeah.
So I think that there needs to be some clarity around grants and how we approve or not approve the rules, because you can't flex the rules are the rules.
Okay.
So
Unless you change the rules.
unless you change the rules or try and change the rules.
But we've used those rules that were set up by the working group to make those decisions that we've made today. And we've made them quite soundly based on those rules.
But you've asked us if we would consider changing the rules today. You did ask us that. So therefore there is some
I asked us
question.
if we should bring this forward to the next meeting or not.
Well,
I was never asking to change the rules.
So
Thank you. Councillor Dixon.
I think we should go ahead with the next meeting and then do the working party afterwards, because if we change the criteria now, then the amount of people who might have applied who can't apply, or people who it's unfair on people who haven't had the opportunity to apply for the grants.
So, well, I think that's, I was going to say something. I think that's the wrong way round. There is another way of phrasing that. Because what we would, the working group would be doing, I think, would be having a look at the issues that have been raised across the period between the establishment of the grants criteria and them going through the whole process, and all the sorts of things that have been raised in the interim, including this meeting, and making a recommendation to the 28th meeting to say these are the things that we think need to be considered or adjusted or whatever,
Okay,
or not.
okay,
So that's why I think it should come first.
okay. I think there is good reason for bringing it forward, and I think there's also good reason for having it after. So I think because the people on the working group should make that decision to have the meeting. No, you want to make a decision.
No, I disagree. I think that it's up to us us collectively to decide and to say to the group, we think it needs to meet.
Okay, so that's a motion that's been proposed that the working group for the grants should meet before the 28th of September. So please can we have a vote on whether you think that should be full?
Needs a second.
We need a seconder for that. Yes, you're seconded it? Okay, and then a vote to have a meeting before the 28th of September. Not
sure about this one. We're going to abstain for this one. Okay, 2 people for it before, and a vote to have the meeting after the 28th of September.
Tom swayed me.
Tom swayed you, okay.
I'm not sure myself now.
Commit to the cause, Tom.
Okay.
So
That's carried that we have it after the 28th, isn't it? Okay, that was a difficult decision. Okay, let's hope the next one can be easier. The Finance Regulations Working Group has not met this year. The members are Councillor Wilson, Councillor Blacker, and yourself. Who is the chair for that? Is that
it's always
Councillor
Councillor Wilson.
Okay.
Again,
Have you want to set a date for that meeting?
I have sort of half had a go.
Yeah.
It should be relatively straightforward, there are only 3 of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess really, it's probably better if it fits with your work pattern than anyone's.
Fair point. I think we could get it done before the next meeting,
Yeah.
don't you?
So Councillor Packer, are you happy for that to be before the next meeting? Yes, okay, the 3 of you, there will be a date set,
Yes.
and that will happen before the next meeting.
I'll coordinate with you. Thank you.
The IT policy working group, that's Councillor Dixon, Councillor Kirby, Councillor Lyles and Councillor Osborne.
I
Who
do
is the
change.
chair of this one? Is that you,
I was
Councillor
supposed to
Dixon?
be, yeah, but
And are you happy to set a date for that meeting?
I don't know when I'm free. I don't know when I'm free the next few weeks or months. I've got too much on, so I don't know. Jen was arranging the date the last meeting it was mentioned, and I don't think anything's been arranged or anything. So it's just timing's not been great for Ravens.
Councillor Lyles, have you any, can you fit
I'm mega
this?
busy, me.
Okay. I mean,
Absolutely.
we did agree that this working group should continue, so
It's important.
it is an important
It is,
one.
it's not that it's not important,
It's finding time,
it's finding time.
it's difficult, I know. Councillor Whitehead?
Just points of information, I sent some information from one of our electorate.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Who I happen to know, who's an IT specialist, who said he would be very happy to help with this process and give information and. So this is an outsider, if you like.
Yeah.
That was just points of information.
Yeah, and Gemma's doing stuff, you know, in terms of the, you know,
Okay.
the whole IT system of parish council.
Yeah.
So there is stuff going on.
Okay,
Um,
so are we happy to leave that with no definite date, but knowing that stuff is being considered, or do we want to push for a date? Councillor Stewart?
Is this the one about, we've got the new policy coming in and we wanted a working group to work on that policy? Because there were aspects of that we were unhappy with, about the security needed for our own personal systems and so on.
Exactly.
Is there a deadline for that policy?
No. I mean, obviously, it comes up in the AGAR.
Yeah.
It's something we mark down on in the AGAR. So if you remember on you know, on this current AGAR, we failed on it
Yes.
for this reason. And so we've got a year basically to get it right.
Okay, but we mustn't forget about it.
No.
Okay,
But like we've said, there is stuff going on.
yes.
So if we reach a point, you know, like Councillor Whitehall said, where the overall system of the parish council is improved, that will have an impact on this.
Okay. Councillor Rushton?
It might seem like procrastination, but with half of the group not actually being here, so we could set a date tonight and it might not be suitable anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I suggest it goes on an agenda at the next meeting where most of us are present,
Yes.
so where there might be a chance of having 3 of the 4 at least.
Yeah.
Don't be sensible.
Thank you, okay.
It's my trademark.
Are we happy to move on to the next item? Chair's expenses, I think that's just a note that there's still £1,000 in the chair's budget. And then item 34 is the schedule of payments. Rich, do you want to talk us through
I
that?
don't think there's a whole lot of. I mean, as you've seen, part of the reason for this is that couldn't close off last year's account, so the April, May, June have just been sat there while I closed off last year's account. So I don't think there's anything particularly noteworthy on those.
Anything anybody wants to note or comment on? Having had time to look at that.
Or you know, if you don't know what something is. And then the only one to approve is the one to Mosdale Gillett Architects for £1,320.
Which was for,
It's for part of the vision.
Yeah.
Meeting with the conservation officer and a consultation with them.
yeah,
You
we
need to approve
we
it.
need to approve that one. So that was, I do know this one, we had to pay the architect £650 to come and speak at the public consultation launch, and a further £450 when he met with the Kirklees Conservation Officer to look at the plans and see if there was any concerns before a planning application went in. It was part of the pre-planning application, and I think it was felt that, well, the architect felt that it would be useful for him to have that meeting with the conservation officer rather than just sort of wander around without any guidance. So can we approve those two payments? I think they're all within the budget that was set.
Yeah, I think it's from the earmark reserve. actually.
Earmark reserve, okay. Okay. Any other points?
Not if anybody's got any questions.
No.
Well done, Rich.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Thank you, Rich.
Do we need to approve that, actually, or payments? Is that number
We
five?
need to approve the month-to-month schedule of payments for August.
That's what you just.
Oh, we've carried on that. Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, okay. And I'll do that initially afterwards. so-
Yeah, they're here, yeah,
Okay.
just do it at the end, we need,
And then
somebody
the
else to-
financial statements for April, May and June, do you want us to talk through any of
I
those?
don't, well, I don't really want to talk through them. If anybody's got any questions about any of them, I tend to comment on the most recent ones rather than historical ones, unless people have noticed anything, comment worthy or anything they've got an issue with.
Thanks, Rich.
I'm up to approve. Thank you, Rich. I mean, we're significantly over budget on a few things, but the
Yeah,
freedom
I-
of information was.
You know, I was talking about this with the chair this afternoon, and I appreciate it's really hard to look at these and get a full grasp of what's going on. In terms of the most recent one, which is the July one, which is in draft form. So as you'll have noticed, there are some things we are over budget on that I've explained to you in the past, which is the insurance one, that one, those subscriptions, the freedom of information SARS one, we're 7,000 over, but that was approved by council. And then the only other one to point out is that we've received rather more money than we were expecting in other receipts. So that 433 negative is actually a positive because we've actually got more money than we expected. But,
It can quite counterbalance the over
yes,
expenditure that did
indeed,
it, so.
indeed.
Okay. So we have to approve all these bank reconciliations.
No, we're not there yet.
We're not there yet. We have
So we're
to,
just considering whether there's any further action needed on the income expenditure
For July.
if you like, yeah.
any further action.
Or indeed, going forward.
Actually, we need to keep back in Rich.
Fair
Thank
enough,
you.
yes, fair enough.
Okay.
Now
Are we ready to approve?
it's the bank reconciliation.
Okay, so can we approve the bank reconciliations as above? Everybody ready to approve those, right?
Have
And
you all
again,
have you all
our
looked at
I
have you all looked
definitely
at
not. And again, thank you, Rich, for those.
would you mind staying behind and doing a bit of signing of them as well.
Okay. And then the banking, the Unity Trust, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, the new councillors on the mandate have had their letters. Everybody's managed to sign on. We've had a few problems with Councillor Holmes and her email, but we've resolved that. I think Councillor Bellamy's going to try and get on tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either tonight or tomorrow. I've got
So-
all the details.
What I'll do then is I'll set up some payments for you to all approve. It's basically very easy, isn't it? You just basically click on something and it's done, and then after 2 people it's paid. Essentially. So I'm just going to set you up with a couple, and then once that's happened, I'll take Councillor Wilson and Councillor Bailey off, because they been very honourably going on with this, some much longer than was anticipated, but I will take them off.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's been going very well. I thought I've been really pleased with you.
Good. Any comments on the CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund? Any comments on that? We've got to consider any further action.
I want to make my point about my mess up on the card.
Okay.
That's the page before.
Oh yeah, the Unity Trust.
I think I bought a box of paper for the parish council using the parish council's monthly pay card. Well, I did it through my own Amazon account, as you see, and then I didn't realise that it just switched the card to my default, my default payment. So I was paying, several. I have flagged it to Councillor Bailey, and so what I did was I messed something up last year where when money needed to be paid back, I put it in as income, but that messed everything up. So I put it in as a negative payment. It's the same thing, but it means that it doesn't have any impact on the budget, on that specific budget. So I will again flag that to Councillor Bailey when he's next doing his internal control check, and that's.
Okay.
It's very easy to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
I bought all sorts of car parts from my sons. Business account.
I
Any
just done a lot
defaults, the last one.
from Christmas instead of my home.
So
All some birthday presents.
I've removed the card from my own account. I've created a new account for the parish council, so hopefully that won't ever happen again.
That's
But
great.
I apologise for that mess up.
Thank you. I think you deserve to make a few mistakes given this massive amount of accounting you do in Abingham, so thank you for pointing that out. So are we now ready to consider any further action in respect to the parish council's bank accounts? Any further action? No? We're all happy with it? Great. Okay. Internal control check is the next item, and I think Councillor Bailey, you actually did this and came up with some recommendations.
Thanks to Rich very much for supporting me through this. It's the first time I've done this, and everything that I sampled, I went through every single record, everyone that I sampled, it was fine. And if anything, and as Rich said, he did, very honestly raise a couple of things out to me. And if anything, the comments were not about irregularities. It was just about the talks about potential improvements. And Rich has commented about what
Yeah.
That seems to
So
be good.
nothing further for me to say.
Okay. Any comments on that? No, we're all happy with that.
Thank you,
Any further actions? No further actions. Thank you. And also to note, the financial records have gone to the website. July records should be added soon. Noted. Thank you. And then the next item on the agenda is the civic, and we've all seen the trustees report. I'm just hoping that Councillor Wilson and Councillor Bailey will give us a little bit of feedback from that. Councillor Wilson first.
Yeah, before I get to that part, could I suggest that item 3 there, we don't consider in this meeting, because that working group reports back to full council, not to this one. It could be quite contentious,
Yes.
and I think we're going to be going over it twice if we're not careful.
Are we all happy with that? Yes, no, I think that's a very positive suggestion. I definitely was going to keep discussion to it to a minimum, so.
That's even less now.
I know, but possibly there is a couple of things I've just, for information's sake, but for no discussion. But you
I would
can
just-
just have it off the agenda completely. Okay, are we going to take a vote on that? Oh, no, we're not going to take a vote on that, we're going to have you
But
give a.
you probably do need to vote when you get to it.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the first item, the city, I mean, everyone's seen the report, I hope. The only thing I'd like to just sort of pick out of that is that we've had an electrical installation condition report, an EICR, and it failed. On a bit of a technicality, but nevertheless it failed. The cost to put that right is quite substantial. 27,500 for the first quote. Dawn is on with getting 2 other quotes, but it's proving very difficult. No one wants to quote against someone else's inspection. So I think ultimately we're going to have to go with what we've got.
How much does the inspection itself cost?
I think it's about £2,000, so it's not something you want to do another twice.
Can I comment on that? My mother and father-in-law are moving out, so they had to have a voluntary electrical inspection report, and the electrician that's done it is a family friend, very nice bloke, very trustworthy. He's done the work. The person who's buying the house doesn't want that electrician to complete the work, so his electrician is going to redo the assessment and then do the work, because once you do an assessment and then fix the works, you're signing off that you've not missed anything, and you're agreeing if there's some sort of fire or any sort of issue that it's on you because you've done the work after the report. So if something was missed on that report and then there was some sort of issue, the repairing electrician who then signs it off after is liable. So that'll
So
be
this
why.
absolutely confirms why it's
Yeah.
going
So
to
that'll
be
be why.
difficult to get. Absolutely.
It sort of makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Dawn's been trying to get.
I know she has, yeah.
And,
So.
and I said to her, I think it earlier, last week, I said, at some point we're going to have to draw a line under this and say, we've got what we've got, let's go with it. This has an impact on our current year's funding for the repair work, emergency repair work at the city, because that 27,500 will have to come out of that. It's not a huge problem, we can reallocate some of the work. It just means we'll do less of that work this year than we would have done.
Can I come up with a suggestion that you go to the land charity and ask for some of the spare funds out of the land charity fund to cover that?
You can suggest it.
I'm suggesting it. Someone second it.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Just think that obviously the funds there that were supposed to be spent on buildings that we own in the parish, we're responsible for the library and the civic. If the money's there, might as well spend it on keeping the works in track.
Obviously that decision has to be made by the land charity, all you can do is suggest.
Oh, I've suggested it. John has
that
seconded it.
seconded it. Okay, so do we need to take a vote on it going to the land charity?
You're only
I
asking, aren't you?
don't think you do, because
No.
you're just going to go there and
Just
raise the same motions
Just
anyway.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Chair, I don't think we need to vote on this.
That's what's just said.
If the group want to approach the land charity, they can do, and then they'll reply back to them.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Okay.
Group being the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments from you about the report from the civic?
No, I think that was a good thing.
Councillor Berlin? As a
Yeah,
new
well, I'm at a
trustee?
bit of a disadvantage here really, because there's some things in this report that I didn't actually know about.
Yes.
So, for example, I did know about the electrical work, but I didn't know that there was any kind of review of the work that's to be done in the foyer, for example. So the communication has not been that great, and there are some issues of concern that I've got, which I'm taking up with the chair of the board. We have a meeting hopefully next week. The last meeting had to be cancelled, which was last week, I think it would have been. So I am concerned at the moment that some statements, position statements and assertions and commitments are being made on behalf of the trust that haven't actually been approved by the trust or even heard by the trust as a whole. So I'm concerned about that, and I'm just feeding that back at the moment. So we'll see where that goes. And
Can I ask when the trust actually had the last meeting?
June.
June, so you haven't met since June. Have you had any other consultation other than, apart from that? You haven't met since June, but have there been other forms of consultation?
I would say no.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question? I heard that there'd been some form of email communication with the trust. Is that not correct?
Heard from who?
That's absolutely irrelevant. I'm asking that there's been no form of email communication.
Not consultation. No.
I didn't say consultation, I said email communication.
Well, I was asking about consultation.
Yeah. Councillor Whitson.
We have a combination of email, you call it
I'm asking my
communication,
opinion.
and
Also.
we have a communication via email, and we do have a WhatsApp group where from time to time we are asked to approve things.
Well, the only thing that we've been asked to approve was 2 new policies, or actually reconfirming 2 policies.
That's perhaps in your time, Lawrence, I mean.
Well, I'm talking about current, yeah.
That is a norm. If something crops up in between meetings, quite often Alex will do that.
Well, he hasn't.
Just done so.
Yeah, but he hasn't on these issues I'm talking about.
But they're perhaps before you were trustee.
Okay. I think this perhaps does go into what's going to come up at full council, so I think it's worth bearing in
Well, I
mind.
think at the trustee meeting that hopefully we're having this week.
Absolutely, so I hope you can feedback more positive information from the folks there.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
When is the next trustees meeting?
Well, we're hoping that it's happening next week.
But no definite date on that yet.
No, we've been,
Trying
as
to fix a
Andy
date.
said, just trying to fix a date as
Okay.
of today. Trying to fix a date.
Okay, right, okay. So that number 3 was the Civic Vision Working Group. It's down for me to report. I don't want to talk about it in any detail because it is going to be a significant item at full council, so I want most of it to be decided there. I would like just to mention though that we've just completed a very big public consultation that was launched since we last met on the 25th of June. It was a successful public launch and it's been followed up by 6 weeks of really very positive engagements with it was timed ideally to be when Art Week was. We had so many visitors then, which was an excellent opportunity to discuss the Civic with casual and occasional users of Civic, and we've had sessions on the bridge, we've met with other groups. So it's been we've had so far, 2 days before the consultation ended, we had 475 responses or something. So I was sort of hoping we could make it to 500 people who completed the survey, which I'm told is an excellent result for, I wanted it to be more, but I'm told it's pretty good. So thank you to everybody who was involved in that. Councillor Whitelaw.
Do you know when the analysis of the survey material is going to be completed?
I don't know the answer to that because I think that is one of the things that's been, because the vision group is being debated as to how it should be
Can
constituted.
I suggest we drop it?
Okay,
Yeah.
that we
No,
do not
We're
know.
not going to talk about this.
No, I was just asking for a point of information.
And I don't have the information to that because of the ongoing discussion
That's fine.
about how it should be constituted. So, and it would be good to know to have that answer. Any other comments on this before we move on to the next item? Thank you. Honley Library. To note the reports from Friends of Honley Library. Noted. Again. I was really interested that they'd given us the report that they'd sent to the the Charity Commission. And in fact, I was going to say to our true trustees, that would be a useful thing for the trustees to send to us as well. The annual report for the period, the year ending. But I have found that you can look that up online, so that's great. But I still think it would be a useful thing. And that reminds me that we, if you can put that to the trustees as well, we've asked on previous F&M meetings if we can have a business report plan from them. If you can ask the trustees for that, that would be great. Thank you.
Can I just make a comment about the Holly
Yes,
Note?
please do.
I think we should do more than just note it.
I think we should definitely
I
thank them.
think, you know, it looks fantastic, you know,
Yeah.
from the basis of the report. I haven't been out to see the premises.
Yes,
But on the basis of the report, I think it's brilliant.
yeah,
What's what they're doing and so positive.
yeah, it's an excellent.
I didn't know it, thank you.
Sorry?
I
We should
didn't
note
know
and
Yeah.
thank them,
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
agree. And again, I really look forward to going to see the extension, and I'm told we're going to be invited, but we haven't got an actual date yet, but
Well, I can tell you it's unofficial, but it's September the 1st.
yeah,
I
September
mean,
the 1st.
something might happen and it doesn't happen on September the 1st. There's still work going on.
I know, yeah, yeah, and everybody seems really pleased with it. I've
Yeah,
spoken to a few
It
people,
looks great.
from the
I've seen the
magazine.
inside and the outside now. It looks really,
which is
really nice.
fantastic, and it's proved a really excellent sort of partnership with them, so we're very, very appreciative of that. Okay, anything further to consider? Item 41, other tenancies, allotments, we're noting that we've received all the money, 2 cheques need depositing, so I hope that's received. Garages, 1 cheque needs depositing, we've noted that. Gartside building, is somebody from the Service Provision Committee? Can anybody comment on this?
Well, I was a bit phased by that because Jen has written to Milcombe Hill, but I don't think anything's happened since then.
No, they're kind of blowing a bit hot and cold, the people who are
Okay.
expected to take on the tenancy, which are they called Milk from the Hill?
Milk from the Hill.
From the Hill. You know, they're like a milk
Vending.
dispensing, yeah, milk vending machine. Yeah. And you know we got Ramsden's to write a lease which costs not an insignificant amount, but now they're running a bit cold again.
And nobody quite knows the reason for that.
No.
Okay.
Well, they've been busy with Yorkshire Show.
I've been quite busy on that.
Oh, right, okay.
We've had it on the show,
Yorkshire Show, Yorkshire Show,
Penistone Show.
Emily Show.
It's just that
And they had said that they wanted to be in home
they were
for
going
all the
bam
festivals.
bam bam
They
bam
still,
bam.
they still are keen, I think. They've said that.
If you're in touch with them, that would be great, because I think they have been, you know, we're impatient.
Used to sell them.
We have it, so Ramsden's have basically forwarded the draft, the lease to them for their approval, and we're just waiting for them to deal with it, so, yeah, that would be great, yeah.
Thank you. Any other comments?
They've just been really busy. I've been really busy.
I've heard a lot about them. I saw them at the show, and I had some guests staying with me, and gone all the way to Penistone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have friends from all over Yorkshire who go.
Okay, well, let's hope we can get that finalised and it actually taking up residency. Okay? Last item on the agenda is publicising the work of Valley Parish Council. Any items for that?
I would suggest that some of the things from the evaluation, grant evaluations
Absolutely.
are very worthy
Yeah.
of the city.
Absolutely.
Library.
And the library?
Oh, the library.
And the
Yeah.
library? Yes.
I don't think you can publicise the date yet though, because it's a surprise.
And I think it should move as well, because town like that now. But anyway.